Ibra di testa, Tonali, gol! Sandro! Meritato! Sandro! Gol! Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher, joined by Anthony Talgrud.
What's up, guys? Glad to be back. And we have a very special guest with us today, a brand new father, the newest member of the Dad Club.
Daddy
How's fatherhood?
Unfortunately, SempreMilan does not offer any paternity leave, so I'll need to talk to HR and figure out what's going on here.
I mean, we gave you a week. I think a week's long enough. You weren't the one giving birth, you know. But I'm honestly just absolutely thrilled that you've made it on this week, to be honest, because the little man's first game was a loss. So, yeah.
We just took the assumption you weren't going to be here this week, and you're like, I'll be here. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But you got offended at us that we assumed you didn't want to come on.
I don't think that's how it happened.
We underrated your hustle
like a replay or something.
Maybe I don't go to VAR. But yeah, tell us all about it.
As long as it's the VAR from the Chelsea game.
Yeah.
Or lack of.
Actually, so your son has seen 3 games and 3 losses, huh?
He's seen
two
win? Games. Wait, what?
I was including Everton as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But he saw 2 Red Wings wins and 1 overtime loss, so that's what we got going on.
There you go.
He saw Alabama lose.
Nice. Sorry, Shannon.
And Michigan State win. So
up the Spartans.
So he's going to become a
Lions?
hockey and
I'm
fan.
guessing the Lions lost at the weekend.
They didn't play.
Oh, bye week. Yes.
Nice.
Excellent. Just plenty more weeks.
They'll lose this weekend. So.
Yeah.
That's so funny because in like 20 years, if he's a Lions fan, someone's going to mention it and he's going to be like, oh yeah, I wonder if the Lions won like the week I was born, and then it's going to find it was a fucking bye week, and it'll fit the narrative perfectly like with that franchise.
Right. So.
Yeah, Huddersfield won the first game after I was born, so that is mental because we weren't very good in the mid-90s. And
I won the league and the Champions League the season after I was born because I was born in the summer, so there was no games during the time.
Yeah,
I'm looking up right now. Match week March.
Yeah.
While you're doing that,
we'll crack on with the podcast. Oh, Maddie, actually, before we crack on, are you familiar with what we did last week where we got people to send in their suggestions for baby names?
I did. Alexis was mentioned way too many times.
Overwhelming majority, I would say.
The best one was Tuck. Mel Tucker, the Michigan State coach. So
nice.
I like that one. No, his name's Jude.
Yeah, Jude.
After Bellingham.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge Dortmund and England fan.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. Your favorite meal is a I don't know, mashed peas and I can't think of anything else. British.
Fish chips and mushy peas.
Yeah.
Mushy peas look like cat puke.
They do. They're actually not bad. Put a little lemon.
They look like baby shit.
You are the expert.
Nice yeah. We'll defer to you on that one. And it's actually Jude after the song "Hey Jude." Is that right?
No, I mean, I think that. So, background on me. Each year, I try to become a top listener on Spotify for a different band. This year, I'm trying to do the Beatles. And "Hey Jude" is always the first song on the playlist, and then when Shannon was making list of names, Jude just happened to be on there. So I think like it correlates, but we didn't do it because of the Beatles.
Got you. Yeah, just a nice coincidence. Excellent. Yeah. I like the name. And yeah, let's dive in then, boys. We've got a couple of games to recap and a game to preview, and we start with some Champions League controversy. So we welcome Chelsea to the San Siro for the, the return fixture and the 4th group stage game of Group E. The group was kind of wide open after we lost at Stamford Bridge, and obviously Red Bull Salzburg have been doing well, and Dinamo beat Chelsea in the first group stage game. So everything was kind of in the air with regards to who will go through in this game, in this group, and it still kind of is. But we took a little bit of a step backwards in this, and we've now dropped to 3rd place because we were beaten 2-0 by Chelsea. Now, there isn't an awful lot to say about this game aside from the one incident that conditioned it. And That happened in the 18th minute. It was a ball in behind from Reece James to Mason Mount. Fikayo Tomori puts his hand on the shoulder of Mount. Mount still manages to lunge forward and get a shot away. And then the referee, German referee, Daniel Siebert, points to the penalty spot and gives a red card. We've had, nearly a week now to digest this incident. How fuming are we still on a scale of 1 to 10?
I was getting over it, and then I watched some Premier League games this weekend, and I saw the exact same challenge multiple times, and not once was it even called a foul. So, yeah, pretty high.
I think the worst part is that it didn't even get reviewed.
Yeah. He just said, no,
and
this is what we're sticking with.
Right. And then, it was such a soft tackle.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't even think it was a foul. I mean, there's some
think
jostling, but he breaks away from Tomori, gets a shot off, and then goes down. And I think it's because he was just sliding as he shot. It had nothing to do with the contact, which was minimal and seconds prior. Like, I don't know. It seemed very strange. I've seen a lot of weird calls given that I think, or I've seen a lot of strong calls not called.
Mm-hmm.
There's a massive.
Is strange.
There's a massive thing in this, and it's very simple to me. If he pulls him back, it's a penalty and it's a red card, because by the letter of the law, if you haven't made an attempt to play the ball and it's clear denial of a goal scoring opportunity, it is in the laws that it's a red card. But he doesn't pull him back; he just puts his hand on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And there's no forcing tugging of the shirt, and you can tell that he doesn't pull him back because he still manages to get a shot away. The way that he denies a goal-scoring opportunity is if he physically stops him getting a shot away, and he doesn't do that, Mason Mount said after the game, I'll read his quotes, "I don't think it was a sending off. A penalty, maybe yes. I was a bit surprised at the time because I've still gone through and had a shot. I felt for Fick in that situation. I was gutted for him." So when you've got the player who's at the centre of the incident saying it could have gone either way, it's double punishment, because it's a penalty that puts them 1-0 up and it's a red card. So we're playing the rest of the game with 10 men. It is a decision that determines the outcome of the game after less than 20 minutes.
Now, by the rules, if it's a penalty, it has to be a red card. Like, you can't have one and not the other. So that says there's a bit of a misunderstanding there amongst a lot of fans as well as players, obviously, because Mason Mount doesn't know. But that said, I think he's leaning towards it shouldn't have been one. However, you can't publicly say my team didn't deserve a penalty. You have to back that. So for him to say 50-50, I think that's him just appeasing that a little bit of the Chelsea fans. Whereas the reality is him saying it shouldn't have been one.
I think there's been a lot of debate after this about the double punishment thing itself. I agree. Like, sometimes you do see bizarre incidents inside the box where, they'll just get brought down off the ball and it's very clear that they haven't made an attempt to block it. But you don't see them very often. Generally, there's always a genuine attempt to at least put an attacker off. And that's why I think in this case in particular, it's harsh, because the shot was saved. It was kind of from a narrow angle. It wasn't, they've ruled it a clear goal scoring opportunity. And you might say, yeah, fair enough, it was. But, in my opinion, it wasn't an absolute concrete opportunity. Tata Rashanu saved the shot from close range. So bizarre, and it was just a shame, because if the injuries were what hindered us massively in the first game against Chelsea, we sort of all said, well, let's get them back to Stamford Bridge. We'll have Thiaw back and maybe hopefully a couple more. That didn't end up happening. In fact, Decatur Lara was then injured, so we didn't have him. Not that he did much.
I didn't realize that he was injured.
Yeah, he's been.
So the muscle injury bug is still there.
I do think the inclusion of Thiaw actually was a big boost to us, because I thought prior to the sending off, I thought we were definitely doing really well. And even after the sending off, it really, in my opinion, didn't get bad until Dest was brought on and Brahim was taken off. I thought when we were playing like a three at the back kind of weird deal there with Klue sliding in for Tomori, I didn't think it looked terrible. Obviously, still missing a man, but I thought it was flowing decently well with Brahim getting the creativity, and you saw Giroud miss a couple really good opportunities, a couple free headers on goal that had he put that first one away, it's a different game, and we maybe can sit back a little bit and kind of hold that draw or something, whereas we had to push forward the whole time because we were down 2-0 and 10 men, and I don't know, it was I mean, that obviously dictated the game, and then I think we also had 9 cards out of 12 total fouls, so it was really, like,
He
any
lost
type of
control of the game.
contact. I don't think he ever had it.
Yeah.
I mean, to do that early on, you're dictating the entire outcome of that game. I don't know. It's really questionable officiating. It's questionable from a lot of things. I did see that he was also the referee at fault for another pretty big controversial call a while back. I can't remember who it was anymore because I don't know. To be honest, I thought we talked about this game last week. It's been so long, but I remember seeing that at the time and thinking, "Oh, of course." But it was a big one, and if you Google it, you'll be like, "Oh wow, he was that one too."
I want to say it was at the Euros or at a World Cup or something.
It was something like that.
Because
I
then
can
we
open
had
our
Massa.
chat, but...
We had Massa for the game against Verona, who was the one who called off the Kessie equaliser against Napoli last season for offside. So yeah, we seem to always get refs who have some controversy surrounding them. There's two things about this game. Well, it's sort of their 2 goals, to be honest, that did worry me and sort of annoy me just a little bit. As you were saying about Thiaw sort of drifting into midfield there, that cost us the first goal. That is what led to the penalty incident, unfortunately, because Thiaw was playing in a midfield position, pushing over, and Chelsea had the ball over on their left side. And what we got caught out by twice in the first game was quick switches of play, because they're really good at finding Reece James in space. They did it again because Thiaw was too narrow. They found Reece James in space. The ball then goes around the outside, and Tomori gets caught flat-footed a little bit. I had a bit of a debate in the chat with Ivan, who does our 5 Things articles. I was saying, you can't blame Tomori for what happens there. You know, it wasn't even a. But in terms of the actual incident itself, he does get caught out, unfortunately. And it is a brilliant ball. Don't get me wrong; it's an inch perfect ball in behind. But it all comes from the fact that we hadn't learned our lesson from the first game, and that is do not give Reece James space on that far side, because he will hurt you with balls in behind, if not runs, if not shots. And then the penalty red card happened. We're 1-0 down, fair enough. The worst thing that we could have done was have that chance for Giroud. And that might sound mental, but because that didn't result in the equaliser, purely delayed the substitution that was needed to recalibrate the back 4. And because of that, and because we hadn't made the change to bring on an extra defender yet and shift Kalulu inside, Gabia was left completely on his own, and Thiaw had moved inside to be a centre-back, but he didn't know who to follow. And that's how the second goal comes about. And then the game is completely dead after that. So the delay in making the necessary change to bring on an extra defender, because we'd missed a chance and purely thought maybe we can gamble here and get something, that cost us. And the game was over at 2-0. Unfortunately, that's how it was. But I will highlight one positive. I thought Dest did okay when he came off the bench. He should have had a hockey assist, as they call it, with that ball in behind for Tonali that was then squared. And he had a couple of good forward runs. So that was a little bit of, hopefully, a start of some confidence, although he's not getting really near the team at the moment. And yeah, there's not much else to say. It was a pretty poor game in the second half. Both teams knew what the result was already, and I think they seek to conserve a bit of energy. And now we've kind of got to win our last 2 games.
Potentially only need 4, but that also includes, expecting Chelsea to get a win as well. So, I mean, they should. It seems they're high flying thanks to us now. So we'll see what happens. But I don't think there's any reason to doubt that we'll go through to the knockouts. I think we'll still qualify. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I would like to qualify. I don't think we will, though. I think
you don't think we will? You think we drop points here?
Yeah.
I mean,
we play this week, Red Bull or
Zagreb.
Dinamo next week, and then
we beat them 3-1 away.
No, I think that we beat Dynamo, but I think we'll lose to Red Bull
at home. That'd be pretty chaotic. Yeah, I mean, the difficult thing is that Chelsea have to travel to Salzburg, and their progress is virtually sealed by the fact that they played Dinamo at home in the last game. So if they need a result in that game, they'll probably get it. And my worry is that they've got a couple of injuries now and stuff that actually Salzburg picked something up in that game. So then we're left, regardless of our result, having to beat Salzburg to go through. And who does that favour? Probably them, because they're really good at playing on the counter. But it's too early to think about hypotheticals until the fifth game has been played, I think. I hope that we're a bit like Atletico Madrid were in our group last season, where they just win the last two and kind of sneak in out of nowhere. It wouldn't be out of nowhere because we're level on points in third spot, but we really need to go through because we've all been talking about how much more manageable a group this is. And we have, and this is a kind of worrying stat, and it shows where we're at in our level. We've played 10 games since we returned to the Champions League last season, and we've only won 2 of them. And I think we've lost. Have we lost 7 now?
Yeah, but
It's
how
not
many
great.
of those have been injury
might be
ridden? How many
6.
have been missing Mike Mignon? You know, like Mike's missed the majority of last season's group stage, and he missed the 2 biggest games of this group stage. So
But
I think
last
there's an
season,
asterisk on that.
Yeah,
And
no,
there was
there
a lot
is.
of calls in both seasons' group stages.
Yeah, and I suppose this season, the draw at Salzburg's not a bad result. They reached the knockout stages last season and drew with Bayern at home and stuff. The win against Dinamo, good result, you know. And then the loss at Chelsea was obviously heavily influenced by injuries, and the second loss was influenced by a terrible decision. But then it was like last season we led in 3 of the 6 group games, and we only managed to win 1 of them. So it's like we're getting lessons all the time from other teams in maturity and how to deal with these situations. I just think that over the 2 games against Chelsea, there was a bit of naivety in the way that we tried to play. And I think it shows there is still quite a difference in level and in depth. Like I saw a report saying that our starting 11 market value for that first Chelsea game was around about 550 mil, and Chelsea's is 850 mil. And that difference was on the bench. So, like, there you go. That's kind of where we're at. We need a lot more investment to get there, and we probably can't actually ever match that.
They brought.
Yeah, but do you think the preparedness comes down to the players not being up to the task, or Pioli not preparing the players?
I think it's neither. I think it's experience. So I guess that is the players. I just think you look at Chelsea bringing on Kai Havertz, who scored the winner in the Champions League final a few seasons ago off the bench. Jorginho, who finished 3rd in last season's Ballon d'Ors, like who won the Euros. They bring huge players off the bench, whereas we're forced to start Serginho Dest, who is a loanee 3rd choice right back. You know, like we don't have the quality. Like these big teams in the Premier League can have an injury crisis and still field incredible world-class 11s, whereas we missed 2 players and our entire alignment is, you know, it's looking really bad. So I think there's a lot to it. Obviously, yes, they're still better than us. Even, you know, starting 11 for starting 11, probably our starting 11 versus their backup, they're still better than us. But I don't know. I think anything could happen in football. And unfortunately, the bad things keep happening to us in football. It is what it is.
Maybe in the last 2 games of the group, we get the rub of the green. We win both, and we go into the knockouts with a bit of momentum. I mean, it's still not out of the question that we could win the group, bizarrely, because of how close it is.
But even last season, though, you look at, you know, we led in 3 of those 6 games, and that's huge, actually. That was our first one back in X amount of years, and we played a team who went to multiple finals in Atletico Madrid, a team who was in that season's finals in Liverpool and won it, you know, 2 years prior. A team in Porto who had been to the knockout stages, or at least the group stages, just about every single year for a decade or so. And then there was us, the new kids on the block, with a lot of actual children who have never been to the Champions League. So I was actually kind of impressed with how we did it last season, even though obviously we only picked up 4 points in the whole group. But
yeah, 4 points. Actually, I got it wrong. We led in 4 of the games. We led in both Liverpool games. I forgot we went 2-1 up at Anfield. That was kind of mental. Led in both Liverpool games, including the must-win last game. Then we led both Atletico games. Obviously, won the away one, but the home one was where we got shafted by a bad decision again. So, it's what it is. Champions League, I guess we're still finding our feet. And if
we finish second in this group behind Chelsea, I mean, that's essentially exactly what we all predicted at the start of the season anyway. So it's like, is it a disaster because we thought we might be able to beat them and then we didn't? No.
No, perhaps not.
But if we drop to Red Bull, it will be a disaster.
Yeah. Then there's an issue for sure.
If they go through instead of us, especially after all the overhaul they've had during the summer, it wouldn't look great. And dropping into the Europa League is a no thank you for me, and that's probably what would happen.
I wouldn't mind it, because
I think we have the squad to win the
can't-
Europa League.
Yeah, we can't just go from no European competition to playing in the Champions League. We need like the mental toughness of European nights.
Knockout football as well, yeah.
You know, whether it's, I mean, I don't want to play in the Conference League, but like, you know, these players do need to feel some kind of pressure, and you know, the league's tight this year, so they'll get it in the league, and they'll get it whether we're playing the last 16 of the Champions League or Europa League. If we don't qualify for anything, then
obviously money. There's a money aspect to it as well.
Too. Well, and I agree with you. I wouldn't want to play in the Conference League, but you look at what winning that did for Roma's mentality and going into the summer and their fan base. Like it is still a huge boost. You know, it's valuable to be there. Obviously, no one gives a shit about Europa League in the long run. Like the goal is always Champions League.
Manchester United fans do.
Well, actually, it's the one trophy one trophy that's missing from our cabinet.
Yeah, that'd be cool to get.
We have two. We don't have the Conference League.
That's true.
Or Monza.
Yeah. God, I hope we never see ourselves playing that.
The section of our cabinet that's empty is the Roma won these section.
It's a tree, just a bonsai tree. Let's do tops and flops and then move on to recap a win. My top for the Chelsea game, it's hard to pick. You know, the game was like a training drill for the last sort of 60 minutes or whatever. But I think the only reason that we had like an element of control in that second half was because of Benacer. I thought he was very good, just sat in front of the defence, and he was good at distributing the ball. And he got stuck in. Like he really was kind of hanging onto the midfield on his own. So I'll say Benacer.
Yeah, I think it's Benacer, and it's obvious that he's our best midfielder. And, you know, we'll get to that with the Hellas Verona game. It's just so clear how much better he is than everyone else.
Yeah.
I'll say Benacer too. I'm honest, it was a hard game to watch.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Leao tried, but you know,
he looked better than the first game.
Yeah,
did he?
It was. I don't know. He looked okay.
The first game was so bad, and I was really upset I missed that pod.
You should have had an assist in the first game.
Yeah, I was going to go off.
Yeah. And then flop of the match. I mean, is it really harsh to go for Tomori?
No,
I'm going for Siebert.
Giroud. I'm going Giroud because he missed that chance to make it 1-1, and it was an absolute gimme, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm gonna take an audible here and go with the referee. I think it's
well done, man. Fuck him. And that's it. Like, you know, roll on Dinamo in, you know, a week and a bit. So we were back in league action on Sunday night at the Stadio Bentegodi in Verona. We very rarely draw there, actually. So I did have a feeling that this was going to be a result either way. And thankfully, we managed to get it. It was kind of similarly dramatic to last season, shall we say, because last season it was Sandro Tonali's brace that saw us come from behind to win 3-1 in the run into the Scudetto. And I think that was quite a big moment. And it was Tonali again who popped up with the goods this time, a winner in the 81st minute after basically 2 own goals in the first half. I mean, I guess the headline going into this obviously was us trying to respond to the defeat against Chelsea. But Salvatore Bocchetti, the new manager of Hellas Verona, those of you with vivid memories of the banter era will recall that we had him on loan from Spartak Moscow, and he made did he make one appearance or something? Maybe it was a handful.
Salvatore Bocchetti.
Bocchetti. Okay. And he had been named the new Hellas Verona boss in the lead up to the game. He's from the school of Gasparini, whatever that means. That's what everyone was saying, but I think tactically it means that he plays a 3-4-2-1, and that's exactly what we saw. This was a tough game. They seemed to fight like hell for the new boss. I will say that.
It's always a tough game.
They played probably their game of the season, judging on what has been said afterwards by pundits and stuff. And obviously it wasn't enough to get them a result. But we really had to fight tooth and nail to come away with 3 points in this. And I honestly, and I'll throw it to you boys, I couldn't have grumbled if we'd have drawn this.
We looked like I would have been
2
pissed.
2 own goals.
Yeah.
Drawing on 2 own goals, man, I would have been
No, I mean, like on the
upset.
balance of play, I don't think we were fully deserving winners.
Oh no,
No,
we
I
looked
don't
like
think
dog
so
shit.
either.
Yeah,
But that's why I would have
that's
been
what I
mad.
mean.
You know, with Lazio and Udinese drawing and giving us the opportunity to jump both of them. If we would not have done that, I would have been furious, to be honest
No,
with
but I
you.
would have been like, this is a very Milan thing to do.
Yeah, I suppose so, but I don't know. I mean, look, we always struggle with the Bentagoti. That's no surprise. You know, historically, we've lost 2 Scudettos on that ground, and we've struggled in recent years as well. So it is what it is. But the new manager effect is no joke. I mean, you get a new manager, and everyone has an opportunity to now become a starter. So everyone's going to play their absolute hearts out. You know, they're going to play their minds out. Whereas when you're on the end of a previous manager's reign, they've lost the dressing room. You've lost your motivation. You're not playing your best. You know who he's going to pick. You're just kind of idling by. Now you get a new manager and you're like, okay, let's do everything we can so I can become the star of this team.
Yeah.
And lucky for us, we got it back to back with both Chelsea and Verona. So, yeah, that was pretty shitty.
There was another as well earlier this season, wasn't there?
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's been a bunch.
Anyway, yeah, it does seem to be us that.
Yeah. But yeah, so start the game off. Leao made a great run early 9th minute. Crossed it in and it just bounced off a Verona player into the goal. So, you know, that's a very clear, obvious own goal. And then they had one which did not get recorded as an own goal, but to me that was a Gabia own goal because it was going to the far right post. Tata Rushanu dove for it, probably would have saved it, but because Gabia jumped in front of it, it deflected to the left post. So obviously that controls where the shot goes. In my mind,
I didn't realize
the way that they judge it though is if the shot is going in. So if they deem the shot to be on target and it's different. Obviously, in an incident like that, we can look at it and say it was Gabia's touch that sent the ball in. But I guess there's other situations where a shot gets very slightly deflected by a player's knee and goes in, and then it's harsh to call that an own goal. So that's why they do it that way. But
that was a very it took a 90-degree turn. Like it was a full on.
He got caught in two minds. Like you see him jump as if he's gonna hop over the ball and back Tatarashanu to collect it, but then he sort of lands very quickly as if he's like, "Oh no, I need to get something on this and get it out of play." I've noticed.
I understand the mentality of doing it.
Yeah, he just gets
of course
caught.
you're gonna try. And also, maybe there needs to be better communication from Tata saying, I got it. But also, you get half a second to make those calls and decisions. So, like, you can't really get mad at the defender for trying to defend and block a shot. It just happened to deflect in. So, not really mad at him. I do think it's ironic that he was given the highest rating in our defense from, like, FotMob and SofaScore. Because if it was an own goal, he probably would have had the worst one. So
that'd knock 2 marks off or something.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I didn't think Gabia had a bad game, to be honest.
No,
he didn't have a great game, but
no, it's really disappointing that that happened because he was good against Chelsea and he was good in this game. So it's just kind of like
good against Juve as well.
Yeah.
So
it made it easy for fans to be like, oh, yep, this guy sucks again. You know,
they got it totally wrong.
Because when you have a history of bad performances, you have 2 good ones. Fans don't say anything, and then you have a bad performance in that third game, and like, he's still bad. I knew it. Like,
in my opinion, Gab, and I know I've voiced this before, but I think Gabia has had like 80% good appearances for us.
I think he's been really hard done.
People remember the 4-3 against Fiorentina because it sticks out. But he found out an hour before the game that he was playing against Vlahovic, and he got a start against him and pocketed him at the last weekend. So it is what it is. He's our 5th choice, probably our 4th choice centre back when everybody's fit.
Yeah.
You cannot expect 8 out of 10 performances from a guy who plays once every 4 weeks, usually, if that. So
and he might be lower in the pecking order after Malik Thiaw came on and saved the game for us.
We ought to dive into that. Actually, let's do the Tonali winner first because I think the game was just sort of ambling along, and then Pioli made 2 substitutions at halftime that I think we were all happy to see because Giroud had missed a massive chance to make it 2-0, and how he missed that was just complacency to think that he could lift it over the keeper. And I mean that if he makes it 2-0 in that moment, we're probably talking about a completely different game because their heads would have dropped and all that. So Giroud off at halftime. We brought on Rebic and Origi, which was nice to see a bit of injection of pace in the final third. And then there were a couple more changes in the midfield. He brought on Benacer to try and establish
really quickly after it. It wasn't even the 60th minute. I think it was like
55.
59th. Oh, okay,
yeah.
Because I thought Adley had a horrible game. I'll be honest. I know everyone wanted to see him. I thought he had a really
I don't
bad
think
game.
it was horrible. I think he showed bits of like
He did show moments.
success. Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's a few times that
But
he
it
like
wasn't enough.
dribbled the ball well, and I was like, all right, like this guy's trying things. It's, you know,
He's
So
trying
from
the
from what I
one-touch
saw,
passing stuff.
I don't recall much of anything from like I don't remember even seeing him the first 35, 40 minutes. I remember saying this guy stinks or whatever in the chat. Hyperbolic for everyone listening. Don't worry, you know I'm just bullshitting. You don't have to jump on me.
where's Steph to shut you down?
He doesn't even watch the games. Don't listen to that guy. But his new video will be out this week. So I said he like sucks or whatever, and then right as I sent that, he actually had a really good run
Yeah.
and pass to someone who didn't
I
score.
think
So
that's what I'm talking about, like his moments of brightness, you know.
yeah. But
But
that
you
was the
also have
only
to
one I
think,
saw from
the
him.
entire team struggled. So
Mm.
for his first start of the season to kind of be
Yeah.
like he's bad, the entire team looked bad.
I honestly think he
Yes,
would have
but
looked
also with
we
him being in
shouldn't
the
have
midfield, being a
we shouldn't
critical
have
component.
changed him. Like we shouldn't have changed it so much. Like if you play Adley, then play Tonali with Benacer, so you make sure that you've got a bit more coverage. To then put Krunic in the double pivot, or if it was a midfield three, I mean, I can't really work it out. We were all over the place. That meant then it was sort of
Pobega
Tonali trying
suspended
to
or
do too
injured?
much.
No, he came on.
No, he
He
came
played
on.
late. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I
didn't do
thought
an
the whole
awful
thing
lot.
was weird.
I missed past the 60th minute, but I don't know why. Like for this game, Pobega wouldn't have started unless
Maybe, yeah.
Pioli thought that like we were gonna just run over them.
And I understand
And he
like
could have.
giving Adley the chance and resting, but also like why bother resting Benacer at all, given that we don't have a midweek game and the next one is Monza, who I believe is in 19th or 20th place. Like I don't know. I feel like start Adley at attacking mid. I know Pioli said like, oh, he's not attacking mid, but that's where we played him all summer, you know, all preseason, and he did great. So I think the positioning was a little odd. Obviously, in live game, the difference is pretty minimal, but you had Brahim who kept cutting inside, so he wasn't really playing that right wing like he was fielded in there. Honestly, I think the formation was more of a Christmas tree with Leao and Brahim more of like outside attacking mids. I don't know,
Yeah.
some bullshit position there, but
Yeah.
it was kind of interesting seeing the lineup that way. But overall, I think Benacer is our most important player in the midfield. And once he came on, we actually started to look like a cohesive team again. And then after we scored the second goal, I think we just thought that they would lie down, and they did not. And it caught us off guard. And we kind of had a cagey last 10 minutes there. And Pioli recognized that. And props to him for taking Leao off, who is only going to add a goal, which we didn't need because we were winning, and bringing on an extra defender in Thiaw, who proved to be necessary because he made quite a few important saves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he did miss the very first ball that went to him, and I don't think anyone's talking about that because he obviously saved the day at the end. But the first
He did.
Verona ball that went in the box, Thiaw made a tackle.
Absolute.
He like threw his leg out and just fucking whiffed it,
Thin
missed
air.
the ball entirely.
Yeah,
and
completely whiffed on it.
My stream was a good 45, 50 seconds behind, so he comes on, does that. I go to the chat, I say, Thiaw, what the fuck? And everyone's like, I can't believe he did that. And I'm thinking we're all on the same page. But then I'm watching the game and he makes an incredible save. And I'm like, they think I'm talking about that.
The beauty of the time delay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, it was great to see a first start for Adley, even though it didn't go probably the way that he would have hoped. And I hope that doesn't put Pioli off using him again. And it was also good to see the first glimpse of Malik Thiaw. And it wasn't necessarily an easy situation to be thrown into, because by that point they were just peppering the box with aerial balls and set pieces. They had a string of like 4 corners in a row at one point, and that's where the danger came from. Our inability to properly clear set pieces is a killer, to be honest. But the margin of and fair play to Thiaw for being in the right place at the right time and literally putting his body on the line to preserve the 3 points. But the margin of victory could have been bigger. We did miss a couple of chances on the counter again. Origi seems determined to score from 25 yards for his first goal, which is really strange. And then Tonali wound up for that shot from 20-odd yards when there was options either side. We seem to, for a team that's like based on winning the ball back and countering, we seem to be really shit at countering, to be honest. Like, we messed it up repeatedly. And we're really bad at seeing games off. And
I think Origi's just really trying to get that first goal. And
once
realized
it's going to come.
Force it?
Well, and that's the thing. I think he is trying to, because once he gets in that final third area, as soon as there's a little bit of pressure, he's like, I better take my shot now instead of, passing the ball, getting an
he
assist or
doesn't. He is
something.
not doing any of that.
And I think he will once he gets that first goal, but the fans are not being the kindest to him, and I think he's used to being a fan favorite for Liverpool because he'd come on and score the fourth goal in a 4-1
I'll never give
win or
him
whatever.
the benefit.
Oh, for Everton.
Yeah. But I think he needs to start against Monza. I thought he looked good. I thought him and Rebic looked so much better than Giroud and Brahim.
Did you notice that? So Rebic could have had another assist as well, but his actual assist for the winning goal came from the right wing.
Yep.
And I found that interesting. And I think that's not the first time that it's happened this season.
Yeah,
I want to say that he got
Brahim
another
as well.
Yeah, and
you mean Rebic?
Yeah. So I mean, I know that Rebic doesn't like playing on the right, allegedly, or at least that's what's said. But he can make an impact from out there. So maybe that's food for thought moving forward, because obviously Leao's a shoe-in for the left, and Origi will be the backup striker probably. Although there are reports saying that Rebic might start up front against Monza, which we will come on to.
Give it to Origi, man. I'd give it to Origi. Give him the confidence. Give
Let
him
him
a
get
full
into
game.
rhythm. Yeah,
Because he hasn't had a true opportunity to showcase himself. You look at like 8 games played, but then 7 of those are less than 10-minute appearances, and then one of them's a 30-minute. Like, you can't really gauge the quality of a player off of that small of a sample size divided over how many games. Like,
you need
it's
to
really
like
not
give
fair
him.
to them.
You need to give him starting from minute 1 versus being thrown into a game in 45th or 60th minute is totally different. And players say that all the time, because if you're starting from minute 1, you grow into the rhythm of the game. Yeah, and if you're coming off the bench, you are expected to immediately make a contribution against a tired defence or when the game is already frantic. So there is a big difference there. Tops and flops, and then we'll do Monza preview. The top for me was I was going to say Giroud as a joke, but I can't do that. I'll give it Malik. Why not? Because you guys are going to go with something different. So yeah, I'll go Malik. Ciao.
I'll go Benacer. Once he came on, we looked like a much more solid team. And then obviously the goal came about a half hour after. It still took time, but I felt much safer once he was on. So I'm going Benacer.
I'll go Tonali, just because he scored the winner.
Yeah, and it was a nicely taken goal as well.
And I love goals from midfielders. So
yeah. And the run was fantastic. I mean, he knew what had to be done, and Rebic even anticipated it. He obviously he took that first time pass, and then Tonali took the first time shot. But you see Rebic celebrating before Tonali even receives the pass. Like, he just knew, and I love that.
Yeah, and he nutmegged the keeper as well. So that's just an added little bonus there. Flop of the match for me, Cyprian Tatarusanu. It may seem harsh. He didn't make a howler necessarily, but his lack of command inside the box killed us in this game. And if you notice, the commentators picked up on it. I think you guys might have had different commentary. That free kick at the end of the game, we were sat so deep in the box because we didn't back him to come out and claim it if it was anywhere in his area. So we had to have bodies on the edge of the 6-yard box. And he's he's not done awfully ever for us, really. He's a backup goalkeeper who's, 35, 36? And Maignan is so clear that it's difficult to have such a drop-off, but he does clearly lack confidence. He does lack command of his area.
His lack of ability compared to Maignan has caused everyone else in defense to look worse, because now they're double covering. You see Tomori's frustration every time they're on the pitch together. He's always pointing and yelling, because when Tata has the ball, he takes 5, 6, 7, 8 steps before he actually passes the ball, and then it usually goes to a opposition player. Anyways, there's a lot of frustration there. I think even Pioli, after the match, said, Tata, it's okay to come out of the box or something like that. He said, Cyprian, you need to come out more. It's okay to leave your line.
Tomori said at that there was the Grand Gala del Calcio Awards, which we should say. Thiaw, Tomori, and Leao obviously got in the team of the year. Thiaw got goal of the season for that one against Atalanta. Leao was obviously the league MVP. Milan were the club of the year, and Pioli was manager of the year. So congratulations.
And Maignan was also goalkeeper of the year and in the league MVP.
So, and obviously Maignan finished 25th in Ballon d'Or rankings, which is fantastic for a goalkeeper. He was 5th among goalkeepers overall in the Yashin Award. And then Leao got joint 14th. So amazing
Also,
to have
Leao
players
was
in the top 25.
the highest finishing Portuguese player.
What was
So,
it?
yeah, Ronaldo was 20th.
No Penaldo anywhere there, no.
Messi didn't
yeah.
even finish, right?
83rd. Which is
Jeez.
actually very unfair. I think it's because of his own high standard, because he was the league leader in assist, which I mean was more assists than most of those top players had goals. I mean, you look, Sebastian Haller, great player in his own right, but he finished 13th off sympathy votes for having cancer, which, you know, I'm not going to slate the guy for being sick, but like he hasn't played all year. He hasn't made a single appearance.
It's kind of like Kier's finish.
It's exactly like Kier's finish. Neither of them should happen, and it makes you turn against players for being good people, because you're like they don't have any business being here. Like, yeah, Haller had a great season, but half of that season was the year that wasn't a part of voting. You know, like if it's calendar year, it needs to be calendar year. Stop giving guys votes for the previous year's first half or whatever, you know. Like
they do tend to acknowledge that it's for the previous season, but the awards is obviously 2022. So yeah, there is confusion there. He did well for Ajax last season, but it's Ajax, so he was obviously bumped up by that element of it. And obviously wish him well in his battle and everything.
Right.
And he's kind of the sort of player, going off on a little tangent, kind of the sort of player that I think would do well for Milan as a future number 9. If you know, he comes back and he hits the ground running. But anyway, the thing that Tomori said was he was asked about Maignan coming back, and he just straight up said we're a better team with him in goal. And he's right, obviously. He's spot on, but not a glowing endorsement for Tatarusanu there, is it?
And there's no reason that we should have Tatarusanu on the team anymore. I think Morante's probably better. Obviously, Morante's 39 now, so you know there was no reason to sign him either.
But it's the lesser of two evils. Like,
well,
we really
at least has started
that.
for top division teams, whereas Tatarusanu only started for Bucharest as a starting keeper, and the rest of his career he was a backup. So
he started for someone in France,
Fiorentina as well for half a season. And that was probably an injury-related thing.
I mean, we've been linked with, I think it's Pietro Terracciano, who's at Fiorentina, and he's a younger backup, but he actually does have quite a lot of starts under his belt, and I think he'd be good to come in as the new backup, because we're not going to be like Chelsea. We're not going to have an 80 million euro backup goalkeeper or anything, but I do think it's time to upgrade in that position.
And it is really hard for a young player to justify being a backup, especially when you know Mignon's 27. You're not passing him in the next 5-6 years, so like, it is a hard sell to say, hey, you're a great goalkeeper. Come sit on the bench for us, you know? But there's got to be a youth academy player, a young doll, someone who's like, I want to be on the first team. And given an injury to Mignon, which he's now had 2 seasons in a row, that would be a better thing. At least you're going to put your body on the line. At least you're going to try and prove something. At least you're going to be nimble enough to come out of your box, to jump for the ball, to dive for a save. Whereas Tata's like, I'm old and brittle, and I don't even want to be here. I'm collecting a check. This sucks that Mignon's hurt, but now I have to play. Like, what's the point? You know,
But also, thank you for the memories, such as the Derby penalty save, etc. You know, he has done little bits that have helped us along the way. Well, quite big bits. Are we agreeing on the flop there?
Sure.
We can move on to Monza then, yeah. So, Monza is the next game on the slate. Saturday evening kickoff. Quite like these. Means not working as late, covering stuff after the game, but that's just a personal preference thing. Monza actually haven't been too bad this season. They've won 3 of their opening 10 games, and those 3 wins actually came in a row before their most recent game, which was a 1-0 defeat away against Empoli. They beat Juventus 1-0 at home. Juve went down to 10 in that game. They beat Sampdoria 3-0 away, and then they beat Spezia 2-0 at home, and that's kind of propelled them into mid-table respectability.
But those are 3 of the worst teams in the league.
They are.
You still got to win them.
Yeah. You have got to beat them, and that's how they're going to stay up, is taking points off of the teams that are going to be in and around them. You know, if they get the head-to-head, then that's worth an extra point.
Yeah.
But you look at the players that they signed in the summer transfer window. I think they signed like 15, maybe more players.
So many.
Cranio from Cagliari, he's a good goalkeeper. Carbone, he's a good player. Ranocchia from Inter, who obviously knows the league well, but is essentially a sick note. Stefano Sensi from Inter. Pessina, who was like a real hot property at Atalanta for a time. And then, he's found his way there somehow. Caprari from Verona, that's a good signing. Warren
Kenya.
Bondo, we were linked with him, midfielder from France. Pablo Mari from Arsenal on loan. Petagna, as you say, Nicola Ravella. I mean, Armando Izzo. They signed a lot of players that should be good names for Serie A. Like if you're
They signed a
building
bunch of
squad to
Serie A
stay up.
experience. Yeah.
And I do think that they will stay up. I picked them to stay up in my pre-season predictions because I think that compared to the other promoted clubs, Berlusconi just has more money to put in. And you see that with the summer transfer campaign. And I think that they'll probably stay up on the strength of their home form, to be honest, which is good news that we are at home in this one. How are we feeling about it? Do you think Berlusconi and Galliani are right up to sting us, or do you think that they'll... I mean, they've done a bit of rotating, I believe, for the Cup.
Yeah, so they play Udinese in the Cup, and they're resting just about every single one of their starters to play us, which, I mean, good for them, whatever. I don't think that it's going to be an issue for us. I think they might be more eager to get forward, which will play into our capabilities better. You know, if they're pushing forward, then Leao on the counter is too fast for all of them, and he's going to have extra space here, and he's simply the best player in the league. That's obviously not a secret. He's won that award twice now, so I think it'll be perfectly fine. I'm not worried.
I'm worried because this is a game that we would lose. So I hope that we win it. We should win it, and as long as we're not doing any weird formation things or trying new players, we should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound like there's the potential for some rotation, which seems strange because, as AJ mentioned before, like this is actually probably the biggest break in days that we have between now and the World Cup. But there's talk of Astor Veronks getting his first start in midfield. I would prefer that over playing Krunic there again.
Krunic has been awful.
He didn't.
I don't think he's been awful.
He's been ineffective, in my opinion.
I think he's so much better when he plays on the left side.
Or as
whether
a 10.
It be,
I don't really
like,
want us to keep trying him as a holding midfielder.
No.
Yeah, and then potentially, obviously, Origi or Rebic up front. Might we be tempted to rest Leao because we've then got Dinamo and then a harder game, and then we've got Salzburg? I don't know, because he's starting every single game at the moment, and like
it could be like the what was I? Oh, it happened like 3 weeks ago. Oh, it was the Leao effect. When he didn't play, we played through other players. You know.
Oh, the Napoli game he was banned for.
Yeah. And did we lose that game?
Yeah, that's our only loss.
Okay, and like, I feel like we had brief periods of positive.
Yeah, I mean, we still fought well. Yeah,
better team.
I honestly don't. I've had very crazy life events since then. So
yeah, got a lot going on.
I don't know.
I mean,
resting Leao, I would not be opposed to, as long as Giroud doesn't start.
I wouldn't rest him a full 90 though. I think too much rotation is dangerous. But I did say after we lost to Napoli that we weren't going to drop any league points. Actually, I said we wouldn't lose until the World Cup, and I still am holding true to that. We're on a 3-game winning streak right now, so I think we're probably good to make it 4. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, let's just do prediction. I think a win, and I mean, Monza have got 9 goals in 10 games, even though they had that good run. They're not exactly free scoring, and they've got a negative goal difference. I think we'll win, and we really could do with a clean sheet again, like the Juve game.
And Mike will be back.
Yeah, and that would be big for him. So I'm going to say 2-0. I don't think we'll blitz them, but I think we'll do a little bit of workload management and win 2-0.
I do think we'll blitz him. I think it's going to be 3-0. And if Origi starts, I think he'll get his first goal. But if Leao plays, I think he'll get a goal or 2. I think, this game's done.
I'll tell you what, I'm pretty close to getting $20, aren't I?
Oh, you're very, very close. Yeah, you're away.
Yeah.
I think we win 3-0. Like AJ, I would love Origi to get his first goal and then an assist afterwards.
Yeah, setting someone up and just get rid of the selfish thing. Yeah. Also, like Giroud could do with a goal at this point. I think he's 5 games without.
He could do with a fucking nap, that old man. Sorry.
He does need resting, that's for sure.
Or send him some retirement papers, man. Get him on AARP. Maybe it's just a
Let-
Man U thing.
Yeah.
Some
AARP
retirement
is
plan.
like a retirement insurance or something for old people.
Right,
For people
yeah,
55
fair.
and up.
Yeah, fair. Right, let's do some listener questions.
Oh, I got to press that button, huh?
Yes, you do. Yeah. Abhijit Mohan, what do you think is the next step in Leao's maturity to truly hit that world-class level? Until recently, we felt he wasn't consistent enough.
A renewal.
A renewal and then world-class players around him.
I agree.
I think he needs to. I mean, he's 23, so plenty of time before he hits his prime. But Serie A MVP suggests that he's certainly on the right trajectory to being world-class, top 15 Ballon d'Or also there. I think he needs to follow it up with another double digits in goals and assists year. And then we can talk about him being established at that top level. Maybe even to be in the discussion for the top scorer in the league, although with Ciro Immobile, the flat track bully, it seems that ship might have sailed already.
Yeah, and wingers rarely are the top goal scorer. You know, they contribute a lot, but rarely are they like the main output for goals.
Cavara Donna, or whatever they're calling him, is like Napoli's main guy. But
that guy cleans my shoes. I don't know. There's a meme.
I mean, he does look Amish. Not that there's any link there, really, but he does.
I was just going with the
this
meme.
just got racist.
Demonetized.
Yeah, no, I think Madison's right, though. He does need some world-class players. I think he could still be the star in a world-class team, but he does need more players on his level or near it, and probably up front with him. Like, let's be real, a striker, we don't have a world-class striker unless you count Zlatan, who's yet to be seen this season. Yet to be seen most of last season. We don't know how he's going to return at 41, if he's going to be world-class or not. I would lean probably towards not, but he's definitely the closest we have to a world-class striker. And Tonali Benacer can grow into world-class players. I think they're on the cusp of it now, but I think give him an additional right wing who actually is world-class, or even Tonali Benacer level, and I think Leao will explode. He needs a bit more help because he's got it from Thiaw, and that's really about it.
Yeah, I really hope that him and CDK strike up some proper chemistry, because having him Thiaw in that sort of triangle and then obviously Benacer on that side of the midfield too would be massive. Spread the attacking threat is probably the answer. Pioli said he's been putting Thiaw in midfield to try and drag their winger inside, and then that gives Leao more space to attack. Another thing that would give him more space to attack is if we actually had proper right wingers. So we could spread the threat a little bit more. Speaking of which, Namel asks, would Chaka Traore perform better than Messias or Salad Markers? We had this last week, and it's a difficult one. I guess it's been a follow-up because he
had a hat trick.
He scored a hat-trick for the Primavera in a 3-2 win over Udinese. I still personally don't think that he's ready. I watch the Primavera most weeks, and he just physically isn't quite there yet. He can have moments where he doesn't really impact games. But technique-wise, when he does get on the ball, he is lightning fast, and he's direct with the dribble, and he can play some lovely balls in behind. That third goal against Chelsea in the Youth League was a lovely assist from him. But yeah, I think we can nurture talents like that. You know, he's 18 and we signed him when he'd made his Serie A debut against us at 16. So, like, there's time yet for that to come.
I think we're used to, or we got accustomed to, like, Donnarumma making his first team debut at 16 and being, world-class out the gate. But that's very rare. It doesn't happen often. Chaka Traore is a great talent, but like you said, he's 18. I think he actually is 19 now. I'm not sure.
He might be 19, yeah.
But still, like, there's time to develop him, let him grow, become a player. And, Leao's 23.
17. He's 17.
Fucking hell. Okay,
yeah, of course, because we signed him last summer when he was 16. Yeah.
So he doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to be on the first team right now. Let him be on the youth squad. He's already playing a few years above his age. Then
now,
there's other right wingers out there that we can buy.
Let's say that we get Cittadella in the cup, and we're 3-0 up with half an hour to go. Can you maybe throw him on in that situation and say, get a bit of taste of senior football? Yes. Am I a fan of giving of these like performative gesture debuts, like bringing on a player for the last 5 minutes like when Maldini. We're winning back? Yeah, literally. No, I'm not a fan of those. I think they should be brought on when something's asked of them. But yeah, maybe that is the kind of situation where he makes his debut. I don't know. Christian Espinosa, how can Pioli help get De Ketelaere going? I know he hasn't played in a couple of weeks, and I'm still not worried he won't pan out. Can tell he's going to be a good player, but we need him to start producing.
I think he's nervous, and I think Pioli told him the right thing. Like, you need to get forward, you need to be more willing to attack and go for goal.
Yeah.
And it definitely showed that he was doing that. He was getting more forward, and I think he did have a few more shots. They were all very weak, so I think he's still nervous. But seeing Brahim do pretty well in front of him, maybe he'll light that fire to say he'll find out, if he's really about that life or if he's not, because we know Brahim may not have the talent, but he has the hunger and the drive, and being benched has pushed him to produce the most that he can.
Yeah, I don't agree with the analysis that you've seen from some like journalists and pundits saying we need to reinvent his position. We need to either play him as a false 9 up front, or we need to play him in a midfield 3 so he can get on the ball more. I do think he does look to me like a playmaker who can dictate the game. I think he just needs one breakout performance. And how many players like Origi can you say that about? But I do think he's one dominant performance away from us being like, there he is. But also, we gave Leao and Tonali a full season. We've given other players a lot of patience, and then they've blossomed. He's 21 years old. He's coming from a league that's nowhere near as good to a team that's far better in a bigger league and has title aspirations. He's got Champions League experience.
Sorry, I zoned out. Are people dissing CDK?
Yes.
Yeah, kind of.
Shut the
He's
fuck
half
up.
and half, really. I think there's some people saying we need more.
It's been 10 games.
Yeah.
Do you remember Tonali after his first 10 games? He was lost.
For some players as well, an injury break can help with like mental clarity as much as physically getting back to 100%. Like, he might have just had too many things going on, and now he's going to come back against Monza, and he'll be like, it just clicks for him straight away. But also, it doesn't need to click straight away.
Shit talk is fine. He's been on the team for 3 years.
He's another one, though, as well. He's another one who we kind of had to be patient with, and then we saw him learn and grow into this role, and you thought, okay, he's at least useful in the team.
Well,
but I think
we got patience for 2 Champions League games.
Well, I think the thing with CDK, though, is his price tag was big for us. The length of time it took in the transfer market to sign him as our main star marquee signing, and the fact that he hasn't produced like we anticipated right away. We do want to go back-to-back Scudetto. We do want to go far in the Champions League, whereas Tonali we brought in on a loan, and we ended up buying it for like $8 million total. It was really cheap. He had time to grow. We weren't fighting for a title right away with him, or at least we didn't think we would be. Same with Leao, was brought in young, kind of lower price. These players that we've given time to didn't have the high expectation, and that's what he's suffering from, is just high expectation. He's not suffering from his own ability because it's there. We've seen it. He's just not producing as much, and a lot of that isn't his fault. He's been great with the final pass that's just not been scored. He could be on 6 assists right now, and we'd all be talking like, yeah, it's a great deal.
I mean, there was 2 different reports just before he got injured saying he's yet to register a goal or assist. I'm like, is everyone forgetting the Bologna game? He literally has an assist.
Yep.
And that's when you think they're basically just lying now to go with the narrative. But yeah, I mean, he did score 18 goals last season. So, maybe.
But as a striker in the Juniper League. Versus...
But we know that he's got an eye for goal, is what I'm saying. So maybe if he gets on a bit of a roll, they might start coming, and you start timing runs better, and you start taking shots on with more confidence. All kinds of things happen when you get that first goal. So fingers crossed it comes soon. This is a fun one from a 4084. Which fan base irritates you guys the most? For me, Napoli have caught up, if not passed Inter.
I wonder why. Who could have caused that? Yeah, no, they're getting there. The Inter fan base doesn't really bother me too much because I only interact with a few of them, and they kind of are accepting of where they're at in conjunction to us at the moment. I don't interact with any Juve people because they're just pretty low in the table at the moment. They're not a concern either. I think Roma's annoying because they think they're, they act like they just won the Scudetto 12 years in a row. They're obnoxious to me.
Literally about a half hour ago, you talked about how winning the Conference League helped their confidence, and now you're complaining about their confidence.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. It is so annoying because
I just want to make sure that I connected the dots here.
Do you think that we were like this when we went on our kind of resurgence out of nowhere?
What resurgence
Yes.
out of nowhere? This has been coming for 10 years.
I mean, like the post-lockdown run where we went from losing every other week to going on a 40. How many game? 28 game.
Okay, there's a difference between Milan confidence and Roma confidence.
Yeah.
Milan confidence has backing. Roma confidence is like,
yeah, but you just said we did nothing for 10 years, so it didn't have any backing.
But also during that run post-COVID, like we were never finishing in a UCL spot. Like we finished 6th.
Yeah.
We were obviously excited, like, oh, this is great foundation. Zlatan's really changing the team here. And then the second season, when we finished 2nd, we had a lot of confidence because we were in first past Christmas. But then Inter took like a 12-point lead and kind of rode that. So we weren't piping up then. And then last season, obviously, we had it, but we won the title, so it's justified. And then over the summer, of course, we were obnoxious because we were the reigning champions, so it's justified. And I don't think I've seen it as much this season, but what has been said, again, is justified. We're reigning champions, and we have a potential to go first next week if results go our way. So it's like, it's not like you can't find justification for confidence in this team. Whereas other teams like Roma, I think, are in 4th right now, but that was, yesterday they got 4th.
They win so many games by 1 goal, and they're incredibly wasteful. They've scored 13 goals from 30 big chances.
No, that was 30 big chances missed and just 13 total goals. So they've had like 45,
so 13
50.
Out of 43.
Yeah, well, they've had like 50 big chances, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Crazy. Final question. I mean, this comes from Nicky Pass, but I'm going to twist it a little bit because I think that this might be interesting. He says, if we'd signed Kavica, would he have had the same start to the season that he's having now if we played him on the right wing?
No, because he's a left winger and he would be back up to Leao.
Yeah, he has played on the right, but he is starring on the left for Napoli, no doubt about it. And the way that I want to twist this is on the point of transfer targets. Where would we be this season if we'd have got Botman and Renato Sanchez, perhaps instead of, some of the... I mean, Maldini said it. We went for Botman over CDK. Once we couldn't get Botman, we diverted the money to CDK. Would we be a better team if we'd have stumped up the cash for Botman and Renato Sanchez?
Because in all defense, our defense has not been an issue.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Has not.
It wasn't last season, but this season our defense has been far worse.
Yeah, but
I think
lost
one game in the league, and Champions League has been not like the defense has not been an issue. Besides the Chelsea game, which the entire team was an issue.
We've conceded in every Champions League game. We conceded 2 goals in our final 11 league games last season. We were never going to keep up that pace because it's freakish. Right. Don't get me wrong, but we very rarely keep clean sheets now.
Yeah, look,
and you say that in your prediction every week.
We only have 3 clean sheets this season. 2 of them with Mike, 1 with Tatarusanu.
And one of them's Juve, who are dog wank.
Yeah, so it doesn't really count, right?
Yeah.
But I think our main issue in defense, yes, we've conceded more, but we've also had, again, so many injuries specifically in defense. And having Tata in is a huge downgrade, whether we're talking shit or not. It's just facts. He's significantly worse than Mignon. No one will dispute that argument. So I don't think Botman would have changed that. Obviously I wanted him more than anyone, but does it make a difference? Maybe we wouldn't have signed Dest if we got Botman. Then Kalu would be more of a right back. I don't know.
I mean, if anybody knows who watches Newcastle regularly, then feel free to comment.
He's not even playing.
From what I gather, he's not exactly set the world alight at a Newcastle team who are going to be fighting for mid-table.
Yeah.
So maybe not Botman. But Renato Sanchez is an interesting one because obviously
has he been injured this season? He typically is.
He took a month out because of a muscle problem. So, but it's just when you look at our midfield and think if we had Tonali, Benacer plus one other guaranteed good midfielder, whereas at the moment we kind of have Pavega, we don't really know what he is yet. Franks who's barely played, Krunic dropping deep and just doesn't look that great. So, just makes you wonder if we'd be a totally different dynamic if we'd managed to get that deal over the line.
Renato Sanchez has played 6 games this season.
Yeah, that's not great. Fair enough.
And one of them
was more of a devil's advocate thing. I mean, I'm glad we got
minutes,
CDK.
20 minutes, 4 minutes. He's played a full 90 once, and the game before that he had a red card. So, yeah.
Sounds
Oh
great.
no, that was with Lille. That wasn't even with PSG. So never mind.
Yeah, because he did play a couple of games at the start of the season, then moved, didn't he? Thought I'd throw that out there. We'll wrap it up. It's been a cracking episode. Thank you to everyone if you made it this far. Drop us a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. You can find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher. AJ, thanks for joining.
Yep, been a good one, and we'll see you guys next week.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Daddy Daycare, for joining in. Hope that you manage to get gradually better levels of sleep before the next time that we record. Thank you for watching, everyone. We'll catch you in a week's time.
Eccolo Ante in area di rigore, Ante, Ibra, gol! Vediamo se è buono, ce lo dà buono, ce lo dà buono, ce lo dà buono.